Absolutely. I applaud the governor for doing this. And what's more, I want to encourage people from other countries, if they're considering canceling their vacation plans somewhere else, then come to California. We will welcome you in California. And I know I speak for a lot of my constituents who are desperately concerned about how we are alienating some of our closest friends and allies, picking unnecessary fights. That is going to be bad for business. Small business people in particular are really hurting right now, and anything we can do, anything the governor can do, anything I can do to improve the business climate, we're going to do.
I want to talk to you about Congress's role, because you just heard me talking to Senator Lankford about that bill that's being proposed in the Senate. It would essentially limit the president's power in terms of imposing tariffs. GOP Congressman Don Bacon plans to introduce the same piece of legislation in the House. Do you think there is enough bipartisan support to move that legislation forward and to effectively block President Trump's ability to impose tariffs?
While the stock market continues to plummet, Donald Trump has been keeping a low profile, spending time golfing and avoiding reporters. He hasn't provided any answers, explanations, or reasons for his actions that have led to the current economic turmoil, an outcome directly linked to his disastrous trade war, which many consider the worst in American history. Instead, Trump has sent his surrogates and cabinet members to defend him, but their explanations are often contradictory and nonsensical, easily debunked, and only seem to escalate the discomfort in the public. However, things took a turn when Trump finally spoke up about the looming stock market crash set to occur tomorrow unless he changes direction. What he said was deeply unsettling, and we're going to break it down. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way. And it really does mean a lot to me. And before we get into Donald Trump's response, when he was confronted about this impending collapse, this collapse, really, that's already happening. I want to hear from former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, who gave his take on what is happening right now and what we can expect in the coming days.
Suggests that there's real disappointment that the president is doubling down on his errors. That policies that everybody on the outside sees as misguided are simply being reinforced, and that's very damaging for our economy.
President Trump's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, told investors to, quote, sit tight, don't panic. We've heard trust in Trump. And then, as my colleague Betsy Klein was reporting, we've just heard a lot of mixed messaging. Are these tariffs for negotiation? Are they to bring back manufacturing? Are they staying? Are they going? What do you think about the messaging coming out of the White House and the advice to everyday Americans to just trust in Trump on this?
Economic policies coming from administrations for 45 years. I've never seen as much incoherence and irrationality as we saw on television today. Self-evidently, you can't both use tariffs as a crowbar, threatening other countries and saying you'll remove them if they cut their tariffs, and also promise that there'll be a revenue source and an inducement to businesses to locate in the United States. And the administration doesn't have a coherent message on why it's doing the largest tax increase that the country's had in 50 years. And usually when you do something hugely consequential, you have a clear rationale that's consistently delivered. And we're not getting that. Largest tax increase in 50 years, a tax increase on consumers, $4,500 a car, according to Ted Cruz, 17% increase in clothing and apparel prices, according to the Yale Budget Lab, $3,800 per consumer, according to the Yale Budget Lab, and they can't even agree on why they are doing it. It's no wonder that markets have lost confidence in this administration, and this administration telling people that they should ignore the market judgment, I don't think is going to be very reassuring to people. What would be reassuring would be a sense that the signals that have been sent from politicians in both parties, from the Federal Reserve, from dozens of other countries, from almost every...
I wanted to get the perspective of an actual expert, and what I heard was just as alarming as the opinion of any amateur. Donald Trump is undeniably driving the economy into the ground, and he's made it clear through several posts that this is intentional. There's no real explanation behind his actions, no investment strategy to back up his claims of bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. It's simply Trump pushing forward with a plan that lacks substance, fueled by his own insecurities and a need to portray himself as smarter, tougher, and more in control than he really is. But is anyone actually benefiting from this? That's why Trump made one of his wildest Truth Social posts to date amid this trade war disaster. When asked about his plan, he wrote, "We have massive financial deficits with China, the European Union, and many others. The only way this problem can be fixed is with tariffs, which are now bringing tens of billions of dollars into the USA. They are already in effect, and it's a beautiful thing to behold. The surplus with these countries has grown during the presidency of sleepy Joe Biden, but we are going to reverse it, and reverse it quickly. Someday, people will realize that tariffs for the United States of America are a very beautiful thing." A beautiful thing? Is that how you see the red arrows pointing down? Apparently, Trump does, as this was his response to the ongoing economic and stock market turmoil.
In the world,
Mr. President,
which is what it should be.
Is there a Trump put though? Is there pain in the market at some point? You're unwilling to tolerate this idea of a Trump put. Is there a threshold?
I think your question is so stupid. I think it's I don't want anything to go down, but sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something, and we have such a horrible. We have been treated so badly by other countries because we had stupid leadership that allowed this to happen.
He is just admitting it. Who is taking the medicine? Is it the billionaires? Sure, they've lost, $500 billion in value in the stock market. But when Elon Musk goes from $350 billion in net worth to $270, that doesn't make a difference in his life when prices explode, people lose their jobs and their houses and their health insurance. That does have an effect. It is us taking the medicine. It is not Donald Trump. He clearly doesn't care. He's either not worried that he's not going to be able to be elected again because this is his second term, or he thinks that he doesn't have to worry about elections anymore. Both in the midterms and the presidential election, that is his outlook, that he can do whatever he wants because there are no consequences for him, only for us. This is only affecting us, and he does not care. It is why he has spent his time on the golf course. It is why he is letting this happen, and it is exactly what Adam Schiff called out right here.
Press.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
It is great to have you here. Let's start off by talking about President Trump's tariffs. He calls this an economic revolution. He says that these tariffs are necessary to reset the global economic order and so that the United States is treated fairly on the world stage. How do you respond to that? Do you agree with any part of that?
I don't agree with any part of that, and unfortunately, he's wrecking our economy. I think people have seen their retirement savings on fire, and there he is out on the golf course. That may end up being the most enduring image of the Trump presidency, that is the president out on a golf cart while people's retirement is in flames. The Treasury Secretary saying that people aren't looking at where the retirement savings are. Maybe he doesn't have to. He's got the wealth. He doesn't have to. Maybe the president with his wealth doesn't have to. But what I'm hearing from Californians is those that have just retired, those who are on the eve of retiring, they're terrified of this. And I hope and pray we stay out of recession, but if we head into a recession, it will be the Trump recession. He will completely own it. This is a completely self-destructive economic act that he's engaged in. And it's not just the tariffs, it's also the freezing of funds, the firing of people, the alienation of our allies. In California, I'm hearing from farmers who still haven't recovered market share from the tariffs during the first Trump administration. I'm hearing from people in the tourist industry. You have people from other countries now who don't want to come here, most particularly Canadians. I'm hearing from others, small business people who are telling me that Canadians are saying, don't send us any more of your products. In fact, we're going to send you back what you've already sent us. It's the whole range of Trump economic policies that are really hurting people.
And speaking of what you are hearing from Californians, the governor of your state, Gavin Newsom, actually says he's pursuing agreements with other countries to try to exempt California from retaliatory tariffs. Do you think that's appropriate? Do you support California striking unilateral deals with foreign countries?
Oh, absolutely. I applaud the governor for doing this. And what's more, I want to encourage people from other countries, if they're considering canceling their vacation plans somewhere else, then come to California. We will welcome you in California. And I know I speak for a lot of my constituents who are desperately concerned about how we are alienating some of our closest friends and allies, picking unnecessary fights. That is going to be bad for business. Small business people in particular are really hurting right now, and anything we can do, anything the governor can do, anything I can do to improve the business climate, we're going to do.
I want to talk to you about Congress's role, because you just heard me talking to Senator Langford about that bill that's being proposed in the Senate. It would essentially limit the president's power in terms of imposing tariffs. GOP Congressman Don Bacon plans to introduce the same piece of legislation in the House. Do you think there is enough bipartisan support to move that legislation forward and to effectively block President Trump's ability to impose tariffs?
I think so. We saw an early indication of this. One of my colleagues, Senator Tim Kaine, offered a resolution on the floor to end this so-called emergency with Canada. That would allow us to essentially curtail at least some of the tariffs. That passed with Republican support. Now, it still would have to get through the House. But there is bipartisan concern with this Trump tax, with this tariff tax. The fact that it is going to push up prices on consumers, and already is. So, yes, I think given time, we can get that done, but we don't have time right now. This economy is in a tailspin, and we need to be arresting that now.
Donald Trump clearly doesn't care. Not at all. It doesn't seem to bother him in the slightest, nor does he think about the impact these tariffs are having on working people. It's a frightening reality that everyone around him appears completely on board. While we've seen some pushback from a few MAGA Republicans in Congress, the question is whether it's enough to make a difference. Will Mike Johnson step in? Probably not. We might just be stuck with this. Because Trump is surrounded by yes men, and it seems like his mind is deteriorating. This isn't just some long-held obsession of his. It's a sign of his mental decline. In this moment, it's not enough to just call out the issue. Of course, we have to do that. But we also need to offer a solution, and that's exactly what Cory Booker has been advocating for consistently and for a long time. Let's take a look at an example right here.
You did say during your speech the Democrats have made some terrible mistakes and have to take some responsibility for the state of the country right now. Elaborate on that. What were the mistakes? How can they be fixed?
Well, the biggest mistake is not centering people enough. A lot of people voted for Donald Trump because they trusted him and didn't trust that Democrats could deliver for them. And so this, to me, is one of the most important principles in American politics. You may have this great policy, great analysis, great thoughts and ideas, but people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. We are in a state where, again, the Democratic Party should own up. We partfully laid this pathway for this demagogue to come into office. And so the way we deal with that, the way we correct from those mistakes, is to do more of the centering of American voices, American people in our conversation and in our focus. Not focus on politics, focus on people.
We absolutely need to call this out, but we also need to discuss what we're going to do differently. People clearly wanted change, but the change they've received has shifted from a booming economy to a broken one. Now, we have an opportunity to restore that booming economy with some meaningful improvements. This includes expanding health coverage for every American and making real investments in American manufacturing, not just relying on a flawed tariff plan that doesn't deliver. We need to focus on real solutions, and that's exactly what Cory Booker is advocating for. What we're talking about on the show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.